Welcome, my friends. Today, we are back to close out our series, Awakening the Spirit, Aligning with Divine Wisdom for Success, where we explored the path to personal growth and spiritual alignment. We are diving into our spiritual practice. A couple weeks ago, I shared that while I don't follow a specific religion, my connection with God is deeply personal and ever present. Each day, I seek divine guidance, knowing that God is always within reach. And like any journey, my faith, it has faced challenges, but by realigning with my core values, I've found clarity, strength, and have deepened this connection by exploring how living in harmony with natural laws can bring success and fulfillment. So, this month, I wanted to deepen my spiritual practice by revisiting some principles in which I was introduced to in 2022 by Deepak Chopra. And today, we will be guided by the insights of Deepak Chopra's The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success. Hey there, Tiff. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. Folks, we got to make this a fast one. Tiff got some things to do. So hopefully we'll be able to get all of the goodness out in which we wanted to share with you today. So Tiff, I just wanted to, and we can just kind of shoot the breeze because I know that we don't get to speak on a personal level too much often. What's new going on with you?
Nothing. I'm just still trying to prepare to, open up my business and um, I'm learning a lot of different things. How I don't know, I'm just exploring different areas of my life as far as having streams of income. That's my one of my goals right now. So
Okay.
just in the process of learning different topics. What about you?
Yep. Well, as you know, I shared with you this podcast for this whole season is all about leveling up, if you will, elevating and using some of the things in which we've studied over the course of the past 2 years to start achieving in some areas within my life. And so I've really been focused on a specific initiative that I shared with you as I transitioned into the world of technology and started moving out of the world of HR. But I still got a little bit of HR, right? Because of this podcast.
But you're doing a real good job with your technology though.
Oh,
How
thank
you grasp the
you.
hmm
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited about it. I was thinking I was going to try and take the easy way and just stay in HR related type work. And then I said, you know what? Change is good, right? And
hmm
so this whole year is just all about moving into just a different space. And so I'm really uh,
hmm
working on that. It's funny you said the whole financial aspect because lately I have been watching, which I don't do, I have been watching a number of movies on just people who have basically made our financial institution that we have here in the US. So just trying to
hmm
understand how it was built and who built it and how they acquired their wealth, just learning from all these different entities like JP Morgan. Um, I was I was watching a movie about his life and how he kind of came up and built his wealth
Right.
and just building wealth in general primarily focusing a lot on investments, stock market, etc. And it's funny that I'm doing it now because it's actually a component of my glow up, if you will, but it's going
Mhm.
to occur. We'll have these conversations about it, probably I can't recall which month it's in, but we're going to be talking about that. So it's good that you're doing it. I'm doing it. So we'll have hopefully some good content in which we can reflect upon and share with the masses, if you will. But
Right.
yeah, so that's just kind of what I've been getting into here lately. And then of course, just the kids. I'm a mommy still, so just trying to.
Which, by the way, you're doing a wonderful job with them. That is the consensus. Daddy said, she is doing a good job with them kids. Ain't she doing it? Like, was Aja there? And he was like, no. I was like, oh, why is she not coming home this weekend? She come home every weekend.
She came home. We went and got her. Yes.
Oh,
She,
okay.
she was thinking she wasn't going to come home. And then she was like, no, I want to be home. I want to be home. I was like, oh, awesome. So we could go and do our our weekend shopping that we always do. They always get me into some store buying recklessly. Because you
Groceries or clothes or toys or what?
clothes. Oh my gosh. I took May out last weekend. I said, oh, Lord, I'm gonna have to do something. And May, they don't do name, name brand. They're not like, oh, I gotta have the latest
Right.
Jordans, et cetera, et cetera. They're not like that, but they like thrift shopping and buying just little things.
Oh,
Little
hey, I'm into thrift shopping. I found me some bad Express jeans.
what
Somebody just basically gave away $15.
you see? But yeah, so they do have good, they
I
end
want to do more of that.
right, right.
I want to do more of that.
Yeah, they do have some really, really good designer clothes. And I mean, of course, yes, you have to sift through a lot in order to find them. I think I've
That's
gotten
okay.
older, I have more patience to do that. But if you would have caught me back in the day, I'm like, I am not sifting through all them clothes like that. That is just but I'm gonna tell you, life will throw you a curveball and you change yourself quick, fast, and in a hurry. Because when we had that fire,
Quick fast.
and I didn't have no clothes, I was like, oh, I have to. And then I actually learned to enjoy it. And so it's cool. But they like yeah, they come Aja comes home and then we get to go out. We'll do a little bit of thrift shopping or they like Five Below and Ross. So we'll probably hit up those a
Mhm.
bit later. Yeah, but yeah, well, good. So yeah, this is life, still pushing through, trying to make some progress, achieve some things as we continue on. But this month,
Mhm.
as I shared, I as a part of my glow up, my whole initiative was, just making sure that when we started this whole initiative that we had our mind right, right? We talked a little bit about making sure that we had a growth mindset and that we were open-minded to the process and to the journey.
Mhm.
When things come our way, right, we are more receptive and thoughtful with regards to whether or not it applies or does not apply, etc. And then, of course, we dived into our dove into our health because the reality is we're not feeling good if we don't take care of ourselves from a health perspective, then it's really hard to fulfill your dreams and aspirations when you're in not well and you're sick, right? And so
Physical.
yes,
Mhm.
physical, right? Because that impacts you mentally, emotionally, all these different things. And so I thought it would be awesome. Let's really focus on our health after we, get our mind right or got our mind right. Um, and then of course, from a spiritual perspective, I always like to bring that in to anything that I do. because I think it's so important. We don't take time. We don't take time to pause, to be still, to reflect and hear the word, right? To hear, I call them whispers, the whispers of the universe that guides us, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
in anything that I begin, which is why when I started this podcast, I told you, I was like, girl, I got a podcast all the way up to 2032. Like topics were just coming off my head left and right. And I said, I know this was for me because when I sat down, it was too easy. Right. And you said that in another podcast. You was like, I know it's for me when it's easy. Right. But if you don't take
And
that,
not necessarily easy, but I just I don't run into the challenges that are, you know, I don't run, I run into, I don't know, just weird challenges. And that's usually not the case for me. Like
right.
when something is for me, I mean, it comes with a natural flow.
Yeah.
I should say naturally, not easy.
Not easy, but naturally. I do like that because there are challenges. You are so right. There are so many challenges. So I don't want to downplay that because
Right.
there are challenges. But even when you have to go through those challenges, I think it's easier to think about how to get through them because it's something that you really sat down, meditated on, prayed about, whatever discipline that you do to help you reflect, set an intention, give yourself that quiet space so that you can put everything together in order to bring it into fruition, right? So,
Right.
so I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to dive deeper in it, and I was sharing folks with Tiffany earlier. I was like, I was thinking of bringing a Bible out and trying to, get some literature, some ideas from the Bible, or I've dove into the Quran before. I've dove into all these the Torah, right? I've dove into all these different areas, and I was like, because I think when we think about spirituality, a lot of people tend to think about it from a religious perspective, right? And
Mhm.
this one is something that was a little bit more universal, a little bit more natural. And as I shared earlier, in 2022, I had actually ran into this book by Deepak Chopra, and I was like, oh, let me bring that back into play and, reflect on the teachings, the principles that he shared. And so we're not going to dive deep into the book, you guys, because I already did that like back in 2022. If you'd like to go check out some of the things, I posted it all on Facebook, Instagram, I believe might not be on Instagram. It should be on Instagram, but it was all under Power 77 Unleashed at that time. But you can go check that out. We'll talk about it at a high level, if you will, but we're not going to dive deep into it. And then also last week, I also brought, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, I did a book review, book overview. So you can go check that out then. Okay. But I wanted to ask you something, Tiff, before we get started, because I think I always like to set the tone to our respective podcasts.
Uh-huh.
When we talk about spirituality, etc., how do you classify yourself? Are you spiritual? Are you religious? Other? How do you classify yourself?
Um, I classify myself as religious. I'm sorry. Spiritual.
Spiritual.
I definitely am not, I'm definitely not religious.
I
So,
guess.
and you know what I had to do?
Uh-huh.
What you know what I had to do? What I did because I wanted to arm myself with with information that is helpful, right? So I think what we get away from just in the English language is we really have we use context clues to define words, but sometimes the deliverer and the receiver are not, well, the deliverer may not have the correct definition. So the receiver is receiving this information and they're taking it for, face value, and it's not even that. So I looked up spiritual. I looked up what is the difference between spiritual and religious. And the reason I am more spiritual is because I prefer the more personal and individual journey of seeking meaning and connection to something larger than myself.
Okay. Okay.
The religious preference, they're more of on a collective, it's shared values, shared ideas under these tenets.
Okay.
But I think I have more of an appreciation for spirituality, and so I would say I'm more spiritual, or I'm growing to be more spiritual, because I wasn't anything at first. I was nothing. I mean, at one point in my life, but now
Hmm.
I would say I think I have found that religion, our belief systems, religious ways, our belief systems, I don't necessarily subscribe to.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm
And
spiritual.
you're spiritual. Okay. Yep. And I am of the same. And you already know I've dove into everything. Okay.
We talked about it before about and there's somebody on Instagram, it's a man, it's an African American man that goes into the explanations of, how when we were younger, Daddy used to say that the stories in the Old Testament, that they were fables.
Hmm.
He was like, because what man do you know survived the mouth of a whale? Well, that could survive, being swallowed by a whale. Well, there's a guy on IG, and he actually explains all of it like it was some symbolism. He didn't really get swallowed by the whale, but that was something like the compass of his problem, like that. Then he was encompassed by frustrations and problems and challenges, and that was what was swallowing him,
Okay.
not like a real whale.
Hmm.
But people misinterpret that, and I forgot why I was telling you that, because we were talking about spiritual, but I,
Hmm.
I went off on a tangent.
That
Um,
gentle mind coming through. You were just sharing about how, you just went from spiritual or went from religious, nothing. Well, you were religious first, I think, because we grew up
I
in,
think so.
right? And then,
Uh-huh.
went into the wayside trying to do your own thing. And I think even that in itself is a bit of spirituality uh, because you study different things, and maybe you was not doing it with intention, but you're out in the world, you're trying to understand things in under your scope, under your understanding, probably
Mm-hmm.
using a frame of,
My experiences.
yeah, your life experiences, probably using a frame of reference from.
But if you remember, we talked about this earlier in the week, about that whole concept of a God sitting high, looking low. Wasn't we talking about that? Was that me and
Yes,
you talking about
yes,
that?
that was
I
definitely.
don't believe I don't believe in that, and I've actually never believed in that. And this is from when I was very small, because I remember I used to say, if God is a God of love, why is it all of this destruction and mayhem and
Hmm.
all this conflict?
Hmm.
And that people believe that God would place something in your life, mayhem and conflict, because that's not of love. So it never really truly made sense to me that somebody would be sitting high looking low, because that has a negative connotation.
In
Would
itself.
you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's
Yes.
But anyway, not to go deep. We don't need to go deep. We're just
No, and
discussing
that's
the
not what we.
seven spiritual laws of success, and
True, true.
and how our understanding of how we become successful through using these laws. But yeah,
Exactly.
I'm
Well,
spiritual.
you're spiritual, right? And I wanted to understand as well the preference that you are. So you indicated I'm spiritual, and I don't know when you did the transition, but how has your spirituality added value in your life?
Um, spirituality is an added value because um, it allows me to be creative,
Okay.
right? When you are boxed in, and see, religion boxes people in.
Mm-hmm.
When you box people in, they lose their creativity.
Mm-hmm.
They lose the insight, because they're looking out of a lens, and the lens may not even belong to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like when people are indoctrinated, under these religions, under these tenets of faith in something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going on right now with the mega churches and the prosperity teaching, how these mega pastors are super filthy rich in their communities, and the communities around them are still poor. Like that whole thing, like those people can't even see because they believe in this. They have these tenets of faith, or they have been indoctrinated, or they've been conditioned to believe in this, in these interpretations
Mm-hmm.
that aren't theirs.
Mm-hmm.
They have no spirit. They don't have no spirit. They don't have no spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they did, they would see it for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and not lose their creativity. Like, I
Right.
don't know. It's kind of, it's actually, Toy, what we're talking about is really complex.
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course.
To me, it's complex because I was like, in his book, in Chopra's book, when he was talking about the one law of pure potentiality.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I fully understand that.
Mm.
But I mean, I know where I can go to understand it. I know what I can throw that into and ask the right questions to see,
Mm-hmm.
what what it's really like about, like in the layest of terms.
Mm-hmm. Well,
um,
give me an idea of what you think it's about.
um, well, one, that's where I got that creativity. So I pulled that concept out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh gosh, it was complex. That law, that first law is very complex,
Mm-hmm.
of pure potentiality, because one is so pure, so you can't have pure potentiality.
Okay.
Who is pure except for babies?
Well, and I don't think he's saying pure in terms of your character, honestly. I think, and I'm going to go back to, because in addition to this podcast, and know you probably don't have time to take a look, but I do what is called Meditative Mondays. All right. And I actually talked about the law of pure potentiality. And in it, I had shared, our true self, our consciousness, our spiritual essence is one of pure potentiality. Not from, as you had allu- a- allured to, that it's based on our character. I mean, there is a component that's interwoven there, but it's more about our limitless capabilities. And you said that, being creative.
And fearless,
And exactly,
being creative, and also
e-
fearlessness.
exactly. And in it, when we recognize our nature, when we have the capability to unlock this power to manifest anything that we desire, right?
At any time
At any
and
time.
whenever we want it.
Exactly. And you also learned this in The Secret. I don't know if you recall, because
Yeah, yeah, you
I
do.
read about it.
But you know what?
Mhm.
Real quick, sidebar. Why is it that we're able to apply this at intermittent points in our life and not always able to apply? Because I can tell you where I have been able to apply pure potentiality in my life.
Mhm. Why you're asking the question? I think honestly, so it really is going to depend on when you begin an initiative. Okay. if you're doing anything where within your life you're beginning an initiative, it's new, it's something foreign, something new. And I'm just going to give this as an example. I think it takes time to build an understanding, to have the capability to go through that process of learning. And when I think about the law of pure potentiality, I think about that open-mindedness that we should have, the ability to be vulnerable as we're going through the process of learning, so that we can allow ourselves to take risks and be creative and explore to ultimately get to our, and I call it our best selves, if you will, for lack of better term. But it when especially if it's something new. And then just like when you're an infant, okay? Just like when you're an infant and you're learning how to walk, for example, and then you learn how to talk, they serve all these experiences serve as building blocks. So when it's time for you to dive into another arena, you now have the capabilities to leverage. You now have the capabilities to leverage all those things that you've learned, that process, allowing yourself to fail, allowing yourself to take risks, allowing yourself to explore. You've taken all those as stepping stones to help you begin to achieve in anything that you do. But and so you ask the question of why is it not on 24/7? You know, why is it we can't tap into this? You do tap into it. You do tap into it, but I think what happens is we get confused that a part of that process, it's not glory 24/7. You're going to have pain points in anything that you go through. You're going to have growth, but the key is not to stop. The key is to keep pushing forward and using all those learning experiences to help you ultimately achieve what you desire. And the more that you do that, the more that you push through, the more that you cross that bridge, or the more that you climb the mountain, and the more that you get to the top and realize that you're just at the bottom of another one. I like that. That was a quote that I think it was a fashion
That
designer.
was one of those books.
It wasn't in the book. No, I
We did that. It was
know
his.
I had shared that quote in another podcast. But yeah, because I was like, because and I can't remember his name, but he said, once you get to the top of one mountain, you're just at the bottom of the next, because life is challenging in that way, but it does get easier, which is the whole title of this podcast, right? The whole podcast is all about
Right.
the fact that it doesn't
It
get
may
easy,
be challenging.
right? It doesn't get easy, but you have now golden nuggets, pearls of wisdom, tools within your toolbox that helps you to overcome them faster. And because of that, you can reach your fullest potential in anything that you begin to embark upon. So right now, going into technology, right? Trying to transition. It's not foreign because we've been using computers since college, right? But at this depth that I'm trying to go into,
This
it's
level of complexity.
the complexity is Tiffany. I have like this 1,000-page book, and I kid you not, I'm going to read it 3 times because I said the first time I gave me the understanding of the jargon, right? The text speak, if you will. The second
Right.
time is now about comprehension with regards to what
Hmm.
I read. And then the third time is going to hopefully be where I just perfect. And I just know that it's going to take that time. But I will tell you, I've been here before. I've had to learn when I transitioned into fitness, right? That was not easy. I was like, this is like being a doctor. Oh, this anatomy? Good Lord. Like, what? I was like, oh, and all the different things that I had to learn. But now I've accomplished, I achieved in getting my certification as a personal trainer. I know that
Mhm.
I can do hard things, right? I know that I can achieve difficult things.
Mhm.
And it's all because I keep putting myself through those experiences. They're challenging. And as you said earlier, it's not about ease. It's not about being easy. You know, it's about something is for you because you have a flow, a state of flow. So I've now have a state of flow. When I'm ready to embark upon something, then
Right.
my toolbox and I get moving, right? So it's just very interesting. But I think over time, the more that you challenge yourself, and the more that you allow yourself to take those risks, and the more that you allow yourself to fail with giving yourself grace, the easier life becomes. Are you going to have bad days? Absolutely. But now you're going to have bad days with tools. You're going to have bad days with knowledge. You're going to have bad days with experiences that help you to overcome and create good days, right? So
Mhm.
talk to me a little bit about so your spirituality. You talked a little bit about how you find it valuable. Do you feel like it's necessary? Because you talked a little bit about, well, there was a period where I didn't classify myself as religious or spiritual. Although as I shared before, I think that even in your search to get to where you are today, that's also classified as being spiritual. But do you feel like it's necessary to even classify yourself? Do you feel like it's necessary to say, "Oh, I'm religious. Oh, I'm spiritual"?
Yeah, no, I don't think labels and titles are necessary, really, honestly. Not when we're getting to the same point of connection, of connectedness,
Mm-hmm.
because that's actually what we're trying to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
On a scheme of things, is connect
Right.
relationships
Mm-hmm.
with money, with education. Like we just everything on a scheme of things, it's boiling down to one thing, and that's like a connectedness.
Right.
Like we be connected.
Right. Yeah,
So
I like that you said
I don't think
that.
you need to have a label though. I
No.
don't think you need to have a label or a title like, oh, that's like people. I don't know. And honestly, I think those things are distractions. What do you really need to know what do you really need to know whether or not I'm spiritual or religious for?
Mm-hmm.
But you can kind of tell people who are spiritual versus religious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. There is a difference.
What do you see that's the biggest difference? Just curious.
I don't know. With religious, you kind of see assimilation. You
Okay.
don't you don't see anyone. You're able to be edgy and what's the saying? How does the saying go? Press against the bar, or you're able to be more diverse with your experiences, with your thought processes when you're a spiritual person. But I find people, or maybe they can be religious and spiritual. I don't know. I just find that my understanding of religious is more like assimilation, like don't think outside of this, because if you do, you won't have prosperity, you won't be successful
Mm-hmm.
if you think this other way. But spirituality, somebody being spiritual, allows them to create their own understanding, their own interpretation without any penalty or any criticism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more open-mindedness, right? More
Hmm.
receptive. You might not accept, but you're more receptive to it, to differences,
Hmm.
different ideologies, and that's what I enjoyed about moving into that space was the fact that I was like, wow, but there's some good components here. There's some good components here when we were talking about religion, because that's kind of how I grew up. I grew up in through religion, and I thought that that was what was the direction that I had to go until my eyes were broadened to see the world for what it really is. And when I saw it, I just was like, I love everybody. I love you for who you are. I love you for what you bring to the table and what you can teach me. Do I agree? Maybe not, but I have that level of understanding now, so that I'm not ignorant and making
And that's the
assumptions.
law of detachment.
Yeah. And just being more mindful of that. I like that. Yeah. So and I agree with you. All these labels, so unnecessary. I think when you
It's
talk
not.
connected, being connected, that's where it really is. And what it's all about is building these connections that we have with one another. And I've shared with you about how I define God. I know I don't define God, as we mentioned before, as an individual in the sky, but I define God as an energy and this energy that flows through us and allows
Hmm.
us to leverage that connectedness to be stewards one to the other. And
Hmm.
that's why I don't even take life lightly, right? I see a lot of people, they'll take life lightly and not realize that this energy that flows through us, we are really stewards one to the other. We are brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Muslim, Christian, we are supposed to be taking care of each other. And the way that we are able to do that is by, you know, breaking down these barriers that we've put up. And I don't know where they came from, these imaginary barriers that we've put up, and really being first to understand with the realization that when you seek first to understand, all will be understood. But we have to break down those barriers in order to do that most effectively. All right. How do you practice your spirituality? What are some things that you do to help you, get into that space that really helps you to embody?
Um, Number one,
Mhm.
meditation.
Meditation?
Um, uh-huh,
Okay.
yeah. Um, and I was doing it and I was tracking it and everything. And I noticed, like, I saw how my mood was improved. I saw how um, I was um, I was able to give myself, others
Mhm.
more grace, be more diplomatic. Um, because I don't get enough credit for where I was to where I am now. I don't get enough credit because I used to be something to deal with.
Girl, you getting credit from me. You have definitely grown. I will tell y'all,
Because
don't
I haul off and it
be
don't
walking,
matter.
don't be
It
walking on
didn't matter.
eggshells.
Yeah, it didn't matter to me
Mhm.
for real. Like if in that period in time, how I felt about something, the passion or whatever you want to call it behind whatever I felt, I didn't really care like how the other person felt.
Mhm.
It didn't matter at that time.
Uh,
And in Deepak Chopra, he talks about how when you are doing things, you should be mindful of how it's going to affect the greater, which is the whole greater good concept, right?
mhm.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but you miss those things when you are, I guess, selfish.
Hmm.
when you are and I wouldn't call myself a narcissist.
Hmm.
Maybe have some features. I think a lot of people with type A personality do have narcissistic features.
Okay.
Not saying I'm not going to place that on their whole personality,
Hmm.
because it does have such negative connotations. But yeah, so what I did is started meditating.
Hmm.
And meditation has improved my outlook and my insight,
Okay.
um, made me a lot more patient.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Yes.
Especially
Meditate.
with dumb shit, because I deal with dumb shit on a regular basis. Damn, the shit be so dumb, and I just be like, damn. But I say it in my head now. I don't say it out loud now.
I just, they hear you. I told you, I said I can curse you out quick, fast, and in a hurry, all in my head, quite content. Because you
It be so, and I hate when I uncover a truth. Ugh.
Mhm.
Oh, shoot, I almost fell off my chair. I was like, oh, I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it. Because it's like, you ain't got to call it out. You don't
Mm-mm.
even have to call it out. But I end up calling it out
Right.
because it's like, it just bothers me so bad. But anyway,
Yes. No, I'm with you there. It's funny you said that because earlier this week I was thinking just that. But okay, so talk to me a little bit about where do you think that you would be in life if you was not able to live in your truth? Like I think about mommy or daddy and how they came up
I don't think that that was ever a case, that would ever have been a case for me.
true. Because you
I
just
could never see
bulldozed.
that for myself. Because what?
I said, because you was bulldozing over everybody. You was like, I don't care what you think, what you say. Blah, blah,
I don't care. I care. I think I care more now than I did when, and I want to go actually back to that.
blah. I said, it's so funny. I said, Tiffany and I kind of reversed roles because I'm kind of more like out saying things that I probably shouldn't say. I said,
Right,
before I used to be this really, really quiet girl and did not say, never spoke my mind, etc. And I said, all of
right.
a sudden now I'm like, oh, I have a lot to say. It was like pent up that I was just holding in for such a long time. But
And
uh,
then I'm on the other extreme of that.
yeah,
I didn't hold nothing in. And
nothing.
now it's just like did
Nope.
it so much. I played it out.
Tiffany had no filter, you guys. Zero.
I still don't have one. My medical assistants got mad at me the other day because I'm talking to my patient about his congestive heart failure. His ejection fraction is 15%. And he told me he went to church's chicken and now his legs are swelling. I said, well, we can just go ahead and plan your funeral because I'm not going to keep giving you medication that you're going to die anyway. And when I got off the phone, my medical assistant was like, they was like, who was you talking to? And I told them, and they was like, why would you say that? Listen, he's gonna die. He's gonna fill up with fluid and he's gonna die. He cannot go to Church's Chicken and buy a bucket of chicken and me. I'm telling him, and you telling me you didn't eat some chicken from churches, baby. I don't even go to churches, and I ain't got congestive heart failure. But you went to church. He can't even come to his appointments. Check this out. He can't even come to his appointments. I do most of his appointments telehealth because he just don't feel like coming in. He can't. If he need a wheelchair, he need a power scooter. He need this. He need that. He telling me all of this, and the whole time you eating church's chicken. Then he told me he was drinking beer. Baby, if you want to write your obituary, start now. It's only going to be a few more weeks or a couple more months for your heart completely fails, and that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. I still don't have no filter.
Oh my goodness.
It
Well,
just comes up out of nowhere. Oh, Toya,
you
but
must
you
be rubbing
but
off on me because I did that with mommy, FYI. I did. I was like,
what?
mommy, I mean, I said it in a nice way, but I was like, oh, mommy, what was that you just got? Oh, you went to Lee's and got some chicken. And oh, is that a Mountain Dew? I said, oh, well, this is going to be easy. I just want to thank you in advance for this beautiful house that you're about to leave me. And I walked out the room. Like, bro, you about to die. Amputation first and then die.
Like you eating that shit? I don't understand.
What are you doing? You
Ooh,
already know we are predisposed.
and sorry, right. Blacks, period. And I had to tell my black, and I for everybody to hear, and I don't care. I said, listen, I tell all my black patients. I'm talking to a black patient as if they don't know they black. I say, listen, I tell all my black patients. You can't eat like that. You ain't got no business drinking no Mountain Dew, no sodas, pop. Every now and again, okay, maybe once a month, maybe once every 6 months. But
Every
every day drinking pop and soda like you 5 years old, drinking Kool-Aid and juices, energy drinks, Toya, energy drinks are
oh my,
killing people,
she brought it.
and they don't even realize it.
And she brought it here.
Huh?
Oh, three of them. Girl had me over there.
Daddy was drinking Celsius.
I said, do not let me
Toy,
get.
the first time I had a Celsius, I can tell you exactly where I was. I was so thirsty. I went and I was at Planet Fitness and I had forgot my bottle of water and I didn't want to buy that bottle of water because they sell Aquafina and it tastes like what I imagine toilet water tastes like. So I can't buy and drink that Aquafina from Planet Fitness. So I got a Celsius.
Mhm,
Toya, I drank half a can
mhm.
and I couldn't stop shaking. I was on that Stairmaster and I was like, oh my God, my heart was up, oh, almost 217.
Oh,
Yes, it's 200. I got on and my heart rate went up. I said, what in the world is going on? Because at one in between 150 and 160, I start sweating anyway. But when I tell you I was profusely sweat, it was like I couldn't even keep my eyes open. The sweat was dripping so bad from that Celsius. But anyway,
oh my.
I we and hear me going on a tangent again because you asked why did I go off on that tangent about my patient?
Well, the question I asked was, where do you think you would be in life if you was not practicing your prep?
Oh, and no, and yeah, so I said all that to say is that I don't have a filter. But no, I don't think that was ever in the design for me. I'm exactly where, regardless of what happened, I was always gonna be right where I am with
Okay.
my success, with everything. Because I've never seen a vision of anything else. I've never seen unsuccessful. So I don't know what that is, if I'm being all the way honest.
No, yeah, no, I got you. I got you. Yeah, I know for a fact if I could not, but once again, I placed those constraints on myself. Not that
Mm-hmm.
I was ever, forced to be a certain way. Now you're, how do I want to say, guided to be a certain way to make it look like it's not being forced, if you will. But you know, but there were some times where I wanted to move into a different direction and felt like I couldn't. And then I was just like, you know what? To heck with this. I got one life, right? I got,
Right.
and if I'm going through this one life and I received a level of enlightenment that helps me to better understand life, the inner workings of life, etc. I don't want to play with that blessing that had been bestowed upon me. I want to honor it and have an understanding and explore because I think we should have that because no, we're not all on the same level with regards to our spirituality, with regards to enlightenment. And I think when individuals are transitioning or going through an experience, They should be given that space so that they can develop a higher level and get to that higher level, because we're always talking about it in religion, spirituality, to get to that higher self. And so
Mm-hmm.
we should never go through that process of hindering someone from that exploratory experience because we're uncomfortable, because it makes us uncomfortable, because they're going to go in a
Right.
direction that might hinder, because it's all about ego. It's not really even about
It's
my
not,
experience or your experience. It's all about how is this going to
which,
negatively impact me, right? And so, yeah, but if I didn't have it, I think, and I didn't force the issue, if I didn't force to say, no, I have to go this way, I have to go this direction because
Mhm.
the enlightenment has been given to me. I cannot backtrack. I have to go forward. Um, I think I would be depressed. I would think that I was
Mhm.
not living my true self, thus lying to myself and in a whole different mental state than what I am in today. Right.
Mhm.
So, yeah, but I wanted to have an understanding from your perspective, and I hope you understood it from my perspective. In the book, The Seven Laws of Success, which law resonated with you the most?
The law of detachment.
Okay. And
Mhm. So I think the law of detachment was the or it could have
okay.
been the law of least effort. Sorry, I'm stealing from my notes right here.
Okay.
Um, because it may have been the law of least effort, and that was with the principle of no resistance,
Mm-hmm.
the principles of harmony and love.
Okay.
Uh, we talk about how grass doesn't try to grow; it's grow.
It just grows.
Cows don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, and he went through all of those different things, and then just like our the energy in our intrinsic nature, or the energy that comes from our intrinsic natures,
Mm-hmm.
and how you're able to manifest dreams. And then he also went over a Ayurvedic science and the principles of the law of least effort, and do nothing and accomplish effortlessly. I would really like to put this into apply it to my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think you probably don't realize that you do apply it. I think you have to find instances with regards. Are you someone who does it consistently? Probably not if you can't
Right.
right off the bat. But I believe the laws that he shared with us, these are natural laws, if you think about it. These are more natural, not really man-made, but laws that occur due to the natural state of the universe,
Right.
that we
It's
go
just the natural.
the
Hmm.
natural the natural instances or occurrences that happen within our life. And I actually chose that one, the law of least resistant, the law of potentiality. But that law of least resistance is very powerful. And I shared,
Hmm.
because that law, it's based on the fact that, and I shared this, I believe, on my Facebook, Instagram. Um, it's it's based on the fact, as it states here, nature's intelligence functions with effortless ease and frees us from anxiety. Uh,
Hmm.
for me personally, it was a principle that helped me to really kind of take responsibility, no matter what happens within my life, even if I felt like it was caused by someone else. even
Hmm.
if something negative happened to me, but being able to take that experience and take
Hmm.
responsibility for my situation and not in a manner to blame you or even to blame myself, but to see how it arose, what can I learn from it, and
Right,
reframe that experience for good, right?
right.
Just
All problems contain seeds of opportunity.
exactly. And that's why you hear, and I say it all the time. You probably have heard me say this in the good, the bad, and the indifferent. It's all good. Find the silver lining
Right.
because it's all good at the least within anything that we do. It's all about learning. All right, all right. Okay, was there anything else that you wanted to share?
Um, I think the law of least effort and the law of detachment resonate with my spirit and are the laws that I am going to focus on practicing and applying daily in my life. I think too that in our routines, in our current healthcare routines, our
Hmm.
current medication routine, whatever routine it is, we don't do it with enough consistency to see the results that we want to see. And then we get discouraged. And that's the reason why we don't express outwardly the success that because it still lies within you. It's always going to be there. That success always going to be there. But you have to release, um, you have to release uh, the energies that are holding those things back. And
Hmm.
we release those energies by letting go of by being defenseless, by having defenselessness, meaning he gave the example of how people spend 99% of their time defending their point of view. And if you stop this, the energy comes back to you.
Hmm.
So that's just the point I was
Hmm.
make you ask.
No, no, that's helpful. That's helpful. Thank you for sharing
Mhm.
that. Was there anything else that you wanted to share?
No, that was it.
That was it. Okay. All right. Well, good. All right. Well, that is a wrap, folks. Okay, my friends. So, something quite miraculous occurred. All of my footage that I lost in season 2 has been restored. We are not going to ask any questions, but just quietly bow our heads and say, thank you. Amen. In light of this new development, I will be highlighting 2 interviews over the next couple of months that I wanted to share with you, but did not get a chance to share in season 2. The first interview is with Brent Webb, a mind power expert and motivational entertainer. Brent leverages his gifts of mind reading and control to teach people how to unlock and unleash their mind power to do more, be more, and have more in every area of their life. Brent has worked with superstars like Joan Rivers, Shaka Khan, Jessica Simpson, Dolly Parton, Sia, Dionne Warwick, Gladys Knight, and Kenny Rogers, and has appeared twice at the White House. This is going to be such a treat for you. I hope that you will take some time out of your schedule to tune in next month as we discuss his principles and how he has leveraged them to find success. We look forward to you joining us. Up next, our first quarter winner for the Proactive is the Way quarterly giveaway. Our first quarter winner is Keith Jones. Congratulations, Keith. I will DM you with instructions on how to claim your prize. To access all replays or learn more about Kinky Knots Cafe's Proactive is the Way, please visit www.kinkyknotscafe.com. Proactive is the way, my friends. Take good care.